The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
In post-war England, plenty of airfields were left to sit unused, and plenty of veterans were left seeking thrills. With typical British pragmatism, they killed two birds with one stone and made the old airfields into racetracks and stuck the veterans in ferocious race cars. Such was the fate of what would become Silverstone Circuit. Today, we plop a classic F1 car on a classic track as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth once again is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, Silverstone kind of teeters on the brink of whether it'll still hold the British Grand Prix in real life, but thankfully we can enjoy it indefinitely on here. Tell us about the track.
Joe, yes sir, located here in England next to Northamptonshire villages of Silverstone and Whittlebury. The track is built on the site of a World War II Royal Air Force bomber station. Now this old historic version is one of 5 available configurations offered by iRacing, but today 3.142 miles, 5.057 kilometers, 16 turns and 18 laps is what it's going to take to get it done here in the Lotus 49. But the best way to get an idea of what it's like to get around Silverstone's 16 turns in this historic configuration is to go on board the GSRC Lotus 49.
All right, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Silverstone. Coming up to Cops, this can sometimes be a place to pass, but it'll be tricky. The tough part will be getting the power down, especially if you slip a little wide onto the AstroTurf. Managing the grip will be important. Switch sides now to set up for the entry to the Maggots-Beckett sequence. As you enter the first left-hander, you'll be slowing and braking, which will make this very much a single-file affair. You'll be busy all through here with little squirts of the power and stabs of the brakes, always turning. Set yourself up for the final right-hander and try to get on the power as soon as you feel the grip return. Chapel is going to be especially tricky because the rear will want to break away. It's important to get as good of a run as you can, with the hanger straight being the longest flat-out portion of the track. This sets up one of your best opportunities to pass into stow. Expect some difficulty in keeping the car tucked into the apex though. There's a big blind rise that loves to cause understeer. From there, you've got a short burst before Vale. In this layout, instead of a tight chicane, it's a sweeping entry offering much less of a chance to overtake. Club really works best as a double apex bend, so try not to stay too far inside. Opening up a straighter line on the exit will pay dividends. Then comes Abbey. Again, this historic version takes out the chicane, so it's back to its old scary fast kink. A quick lift before getting back to the power will do. The switchback across the track can make it tough to line up for bridge though. Drivers will be taking different lines coming out of here and into Priory. That makes attacking and defending kind of sketchy. Now we're into the slowest, most technical section of the track. Brooklands can be especially frustrating. Once again, it's a bit of a compromise in the line with it leading directly into the next corner. Lastly, there's the long hairpin of Luffield. Trying to square off your exit here will be important in order to give yourself speed for the pit straight. You're not totally done yet since Woodcote won't be completely flat out, but if you kept it on the track, you've now finished a lap around Silverstone. So that should give you an idea of what it's like around this relatively flat circuit. But let's step over to the championship so far, now that we are heading into round 5 here. And Michel Dudignan has got himself back on track for this thing. However, he is tied for first, and that is with Benjamin Zocco, who has been on a great season so far. Of course, in third, all's by his lonesome, or excuse me, tied for third, is Jack Ulstead and Casper de Court. Those two have been swapping back and forth with good races and bad races. And then we have 2 drivers tied for 5th, and that is Mick Claridge and Billy Bob Wright down there. But one thing that we should note on these points is that there are 7 drivers sharing 3 points between them. Now, on the Constructors' Cup, the United States is still leading the way. Australia is working its way forward, however. And then United Kingdom sitting in third thanks to Mick Claridge getting himself up into the points. France has gone up thanks to Michel Dudignan, contributing yet more and more there. And the Netherlands dropping down bit by bit, Casper de Court having been contributing over there, of course. So, as qualifying works its way through, Sean, this is the Racing for Rick Challenge, World Cup Challenge, and there's a reason it's called that. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about the name of the series and what it's about?
Joe, it's all about Rick Emerson. He's been battling his own case of ALS for over 4 years now, and he is a friend of the promoters of the series. And you know what? We're here every Saturday to support Rick in his fight against this debilitating disease. He is one of the many thousands of patients that have benefited by the efforts of the ALS Association. Now, we've put a link in our YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, go down there in the information section just below the viewing window there and click on that link and go check it out. And everybody, let's help support Rick in his fight against ALS and that crippling disease. And remember, when we're racing in the Lotus 49, we are racing for Rick, Joe.
A wonderful charity that we're trying to do our best to help support this entire season long. So definitely we will encourage everybody throughout the season to go and donate what they can to help out. We're watching Benjamin Zoko try to put a lap in, second lap in actually, as his first one has put him down in 8th. That's certainly not going to help him get another win here today. He's only got 3 minutes left. They do only get 2 laps out here in qualifying. So if he screws this one up, that is it for him today, and he'll start no better than 8th. Jorge Esposito starting 2 positions back, currently in 10th. On the pole right now is Igor Stadnik, and actually by 0.3 over Casper de Court. So a significant gap there for Igor.
Qualifying going to be so important here today, Joe. Not a lot of good passing zones here on this track. Maybe Copse and Stowe, really the only 2 great opportunities to pull off a good pass on this track. So technical here.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a line astern affair for some of it, unless there's some serious mistakes made. Billy Bob Wright finishing his second lap. Does he improve? No, he does not. So he's going to start no better than 6th. Jack Ulstead, what does he do? He stays in 7th. Michael Langford improves, puts himself up into 4th after completing his lap. And Igor Stadnik chops another 0.3 off. Wow.
Stadnik is hooked up, man. Wow. That's a 140 flat, Joe. Wow.
Benjamin Zoko does not improve, so our championship leader, our co-championship leader, I should say, is going to be starting back no better than 8th, having completed his second lap. Drivers are still putting times in. Brett Rial just put one in just behind Zoko, unable to topple him. Our other championship leader, Michel Dudignon, has finished his laps, and he will start no better than 3rd, but is looking in a much better position than his competitor, who is tied with him at the moment, Benjamin Zoko. Checking to see who else has to finish laps here.
I think Telmo Amaral is actually still finishing one right now, and Anthony Gardner is out there getting one in now. Just getting started, it looks like.
Looks like Telmo has put his second lap in, so he's done. Gardner has had a spin, I'm hearing. Didn't quite catch it. Yeah, it sounds like he has spun. So that actually will be everyone, because Don Good is stationary after having completed 1 lap. That is everyone finished. Let's go through our grid. It is complete. Igor Stadnik on the pole by 0.6 over Casper de Court. An incredible gap, especially a lap of only 1 minute 40 around here. Michel Dudignon is going to be starting on the inside of row 2, also at a 1 minute 40.6. Michael Langford going to be starting in 4th with Mick Claridge in 5th today. Then Billy Bob Wright starting in 6th, followed by Jack Ulstead in 7th. And as we said, Benjamin Zoko having a bit of trouble today, starting in 8th. Brett Rial starting in 9th, followed by the top 10 rounded out of Hideki Koivisto.
All right, Joe, and then it's going to be Jorge Esposito in 11th. Telmo Amaral, 12th today. Don Good going to be starting 13th. Jerry Lee Sweetland, 14th today. Ian Bossy, 15th. Anthony Gardner will be 16th there, rounding out row 8. Then we'll go back to row 9. Dmitrio Gankarov will start 17th, and Ivan Jojo will start 18th.
Now, you mentioned the difficulty in passing here as qualifying completes, but the other thing, if you could touch on real quick while the driver's grid, is the difficulty in getting the power down around some of these corners. It seems like it's very tough trying to find the grip.
It really is, Joe. There's a lot of off-camber turning here, and what that does is really this car is heavy. It's got wide tires, and it has natural grip, but a lot of these turns fall off to the left or to the right, and you're constantly fighting to keep that car either hugged down to the inside of a turn or right on the balance, the middle of a turn. And boy, the exit off so tricky. You really have to. You've got to study this track. You've got to learn where those zones are, where it's good to get back on the power. You can also get a little help from the curbs coming off an exit, using those rumble strips a little bit for added grip, to get yourself accelerating either down like the Hanger Straight or through the Farm Straight or even out of Woodcott. A good opportunity there, that little bit of runoff to grab some extra grip.
You can see that if that wasn't difficult enough, drivers are going to have to take off from the grid around a curve. Easier said than done in a car like this. Getting out of first gear as we wait for the rest of the cars to grid up. Still waiting on our pole sitter to come out here. He's going to run out of time, but he can come all the way down to 1 second left before he gets out there if he so chooses. Hopefully he does not miss. Now he's out there as Igor comes to the line. The lights are now up as we wait for the green. Green flag is out. What kind of start are the drivers going to get around that curved starting zone? Oh, and a missed shift from Casper to Court causes a huge checkup, and that causes Michael Langford to have to really get on the brakes. Thankfully, I don't think anybody got into each other, but Igor Stadnik, with a great jump, now gets himself a gap over Michel Dudignon. That was unusual. We don't usually see missed shifts on the start here.
No, we don't. Usually, we got a car off in the grass already up there.
That is Jorge Esposito, who doesn't hit anything, comes back there into Maggots, and he's going to be able to continue on now as they go through Chapel and onto the Hanger Straight.
Gonkarov was sliding right behind him. He hangs on to it, though. Good job there.
Well, a lot of drama, but no ended races so far on this start, which is good to see, as Stagnick continues to hold that gap of about 1.3 seconds here on the first lap over Dudignon. He should be carrying some weight ballast, as these drivers have been voluntarily, to help even it out between our fast drivers, Sean. And some of them were talking about how much is going to hamper them on this twisty circuit.
Yeah, and by the way, the ballast today is full fuel. So that's what they're working with, is a full fuel tank.
Let's talk about Billy Bob Wright as well, not far behind. He's got Mick Claridge really putting the pressure on, but Billy Bob holding down that final podium spot. As they come through the twisty final section here through Luffield, having to get the power down. This could be where he stretches away from Claridge as they come through Woodcote. And after that first lap and that horrendous start, where is our second place driver, DeCourt? He comes around in 7th. He is currently sandwiched between Jack Ulstead and Brett Rial. Almost a nightmare start for the Dutchman.
Boy, I'll tell you what, the rest of this field needs to be careful here. Stadnik, Dudignon starting to kind of step away a little bit. Billy Bob Wright's got us try and reel him in here just a little bit. They're fighting right behind him. Zoico taking Claridge.
Goes around the outside into Stowe. Can he make it stick? Can't get the power off the corner, but Mick Claridge has to take evasive action to not run into him, and they have to go single file into Vale. So a good pass made, and I have to think that's probably the place we're going to see most of the passes made today, Sean.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we might see another pass on this lap around, because Claridge already looks to try and take it back.
trying to hunt him down here as they come into Priory, but no opportunity this time as he's not close enough. The cars slow down to try and work their way around. Big lockup from Billy Bob right into Brooklands. That's going to make life difficult. Oh, and Claridge, though, sticking his nose in, manages to get side by side here through Luffield. Can he outgun him off the corner? He does it through Woodcote. That is a spot I did not expect to see a pass made.
Hang on.
Whoa, and just a little bit off into the grass for Zoko.
Yeah. Zoko's got to watch out here because here comes Jack Olstad. Olstad with a good start.
Another lockup from Billy Bob Wright, way off the apex into Cops.
Oh, what a great start to this race. This has been fun, Joe.
Well, this is some great action that has brought together this battle here for the third spot. Because it's now Wright, Claridge, Zoko, Ulstad, DeCourt, and Rial. DeCourt is the last in line of these guys. But because of their battling, they're now 2 seconds behind Michel Dudignon. Claridge having trouble getting out of Stowe. Ooh, bit of a brave move there from Zoko to try and get the position back.
I haven't given up on Brett Rial back here yet, Joe. He's holding down 8th. He's starting to make up a little bit of ground.
You can tell that Claridge is struggling to try and accelerate out of these corners as Zoko just catches him, getting the power down with that lighter car. Now they come into Priory. Tries to take a wider line. Can he maybe get the over-under down into Brooklands? He's not close enough. Behind them, Olstead under threat from DeCourt, who's trying to climb his way back forward. We know he has much better pace. Not missing anything up at the front. Igor has extended it to 2 seconds over Dudignon, who is 2 seconds past Billy Bob Wright. So our podium all split apart. Bit of a look there from Olstead on Zoko into Cops, but he couldn't make it stick. Now through the Maggots-Beckett sequence, all single file, not much passing to be done through here. Billy Bob Wright starting to get himself a gap over this battling group. Could finally streak away as they head down the hangar straight. Mick Claridge with a bad run through Chapel means Zoko closing in. He looks to the inside, but he runs out of track.
Boy, these five really putting on a bit of a clinic right now. How to get around here at Silverstone.
Making things intense. Anybody makes a mistake, you're going to lose multiple positions at once. Claridge trying to square off the exit of Club. Does a pretty decent job of keeping himself safe as they head through the Abbey Kink.
You almost wonder if Casper DeCourt's in the best spot right now, back there at the back of this train. He just kind of gets to let the race come to him right here. He's got good pace.
I suspect he doesn't want to be back there as he almost gets into the back of Olstead once again, trying to hit the brakes for Brooklands. I would think that Casper wants to be ahead of all these guys to be able to utilize his pace and try to run down the top three. Billy Bob has been caught once again. 5/10 behind him. Mick Claridge trying to get himself onto that podium. We haven't been missing too much back in the back. Jorge Esposito has been trying to make up positions lost for what he cut the course on that Maggots-Beckett sequence on the first lap. He's hunting down Don Good, who unfortunately has the position here into where he went off at that first lap and has to stay in line now.
Well, we did talk about it at the in the pre-race about this track being difficult to pass on, and well, right now we're seeing the result of that. It's a lot of cars line astern here on track, not a lot of battling for position. We still have a ways to go here, so right now maybe it's about learning your opponent and setting it up for a little bit later. But good racing so far here at Silverstone.
Absolutely. And the good news for the neutral observer is, Sean, is that we had that mix-up at the start, meaning even if it is line astern, we have cars out of order, which makes a nice pressure cooker, and Mick Claridge looks to the inside down in a priory of Billy Bob Wright. Doesn't make it happen, but that's the closest we've seen to him try to manage that overtake, and yet again, Wright keeps locking up the tires into various corners around the circuit.
And Michael Langford just picked up a position on Brett Reale with a daring move back at Priory. He gets the spot away as they scream up to the start-finish line. Langford 8th, Reale down to 9th.
Nice move by Michael. Remember, Michael was one of them that was caught up in that chaos at the start line. He had to brake to keep from getting in the car ahead. That cost him multiple positions. So Langford, much like Casper de Court, who is the next car ahead of him, although about 5 seconds, is really wanting to try and catch the cars ahead. Although it doesn't look likely at this point, having to spend a lot of time behind Real. Oh, and Mick Claridge being overtaken by Zoko around the outside, down into Stowe. A little bit of a lockup from somebody. I think that may have been Wright once again. And Claridge tried to get the run off the corner, but had his momentum interrupted. So, give that spot to Zoko, up in a P4 now.
Maybe not for long, Joe.
He had another good run coming off of club, but once again, just couldn't do anything with it. He's carrying the momentum well, Sean. It seems like Zoko is smartly placing his car.
Yeah, he just exactly putting it in the right spot on the track right now and makes it awful tough for Claridge to get an opening.
Didn't quite see it from that angle of camera, but Zoko had a big wobble coming into Priory. Managed to collect it and keep no one from passing him. Oh, almost gets into the back of Billy Bob Wright as Wright was slow down to the apex coming off of Luffield. I don't think they actually made contact, though. Up into Cops once more. I would love to know what the brake bias is on Billy Bob Wright. It's a good thing we don't have flat-spotted tires yet, because Wright has just been sending smoke signals left and right.
Yeah, I think he'd be riding around on cinder blocks right about now if that was the case. Really working over that Lotus. But, he's got the pace still. He still keeps ripping off good laps here. Not as good as those behind him, though, and that's the problem, is he holding them up?
Speaking of holding up, Jack Olstead trying to get to the inside of Mick Claridge, and he does it. But Claridge is going to have the inside of Vale if it switches back. Can he keep a nose in? Is he brave enough? No, he gives it up yet again. So Jack Olstead demotes Claridge as he takes 5th.
Yeah, I really think that full tank is really hurting Claridge right now. And hey, listen, that's why I've done it. It's trying to level the playing field. Question is, as the tank starts to lighten up here, we're going to see Claridge be able to make a run. Considering the passing opportunities here, man, it's going to be awful tough. He's definitely put himself behind the 8-ball, Joe.
Now, you mentioned about making good laps for Billy Bob Wright. The one thing that worries me as we continue on with 12 to go still, you can overheat these tires in the 49, Sean. So do you think he's in danger of doing that?
Yeah, he is, and obviously if he keeps torturing those tires, what's going to happen? Well, he's going to run off. He's going to make a big mistake. He's going to lose all these spots, because if you get off here with everybody just behind you right now, obviously you're going to lose all 4 of those spots, and then you're going to be fighting from behind, and you're going to probably wind up getting caught by Langford and Reale and find yourself in the middle of that mess back there. So yeah, he's got to be very careful here.
Casper de Court, we can see still trailing the back of these guys as he's now run up to Mick Claridge. They come to the Maggots-Beckett's corners. Claridge closing in nicely, though, on Olstead. Can he get himself something coming down the hanger straight? Not quite, as they stretch out. Everybody starting to get themselves a little piece of track. Billy Bob Wright is slightly under threat from Zoko, but he's not close enough this time. Up to Stowe. Gets a good run off of there as they head down towards Vale. The swing up into Club, though, prevents him from any sort of overtake. tries to square off the corner. He's a little bit wide there. Is that going to hurt him? Because behind him, Olstead has caught these two. Starting to see what he can do among these guys for maybe getting himself a podium. Whoa! Big problem from Claridge. Claridge loses it into Bridge.
Wow. That was all by himself there, Joe. He didn't have any help. He just lost it.
Let's watch the replay. And I've done this before in my practice laps out here, Sean. The downshift can just unsettle that machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened there to Claridge. That's a shame.
He's come back and he's towed. He was going to, it looked like. You know what I think would happen? Remember, he mentioned if he tries to correct the slide too quickly, it can hurt his arm. I wonder if he's starting to feel some pain.
That might be exactly it, Joe. I thought of that immediately when that car snapped around, him trying to correct it. It's obviously a natural reaction to try and correct it, and he's probably still a bit tender from his work he's had done on that shoulder.
And probably why we saw him pull off a second time, had to stop and maybe massage it a little bit to get it back to feeling good before he was able to continue on. But that has slotted him down to 10th position.
I thought Billy Bob was going to lose the spot here to Zoko.
Claridge is off again. He might be calling it a day. I think that shoulder, yep, he's towed now for sure. Oh, sad to see for Mick Claridge.
Yep, tough break for him, man.
So we've switched back up to Zoko. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I'm saying switching back up to Zoko. Zoko really stepped out on Billy Bob Wright, looked to make a move around, but did not pull it off, and the failed attempt cost him some time.
And Jack Olstead missed a gear. That sent him backwards. Casper DeCourt has taken advantage. He's finally got himself another position and is in the top 5 now. This was into Bridge, a place you usually don't expect to see a pass, but a missed shift will do it. Actually, it was through Abbey. We just saw the tail end of it. Wow, even less likely of a place. So as we come back live with 9 to go now, your order is Stadnik, Dudagnon, Wright, Zoko, DeCourt for your top 5. For those top 2, we haven't missed much. It's now 5 seconds between Stadnik and Dudagnon.
Well, never want to make an excuse for Jack, but got to remember he is on the far west coast of the United States, and it's an early morning for him when we do these things, and I can understand where maybe focus is lost and you miss a shift like that. It happens. He's going to have to get busy here.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't be great for every time zone, with it being pretty early in the morning on the west side of the United States, as I can attest to out here in Colorado. It can make it a little bit hard to focus for some of these drivers. Benjamin Zoko is trying to put all of his focus into getting onto that podium. Right now, he is losing points to Dudagnon, who is set to overtake the points lead if he can win this race, or at least take second over Zoko.
Yeah, he's just got to keep doing what he's doing right now. Dudagnon's sitting pretty, but man, the pace that Igor Stadnik has thrown down, Joe, has been very impressive. Igor just having a really solid run at the top, not fighting with anybody. He's clear in front and clear behind.
Well, if nothing breaks out with a pass, or we might see one actually with Casper DeCourt, who's managed to got his nose inside through Woodcote past Benjamin Zoko. DeCourt has been trying to make up for that bad start all race long, and now finally has got himself within sight of the podium here in 4th. With that, let's give our viewers a bit of a run through the field and update everyone. You mentioned our leader, Igor Stadnik, has been leading since the drop of the green. A bit of help from DeCourt's bad start has given him that gap over Dudagnon, who thankfully was on the other side of the grid and could avoid DeCourt, but is 6.5 seconds back from our leader with a bit of weight penalty holding him back. Billy Bob Wright has been doing a phenomenal job in that 3rd position. He's been threatened here and there, but nobody has managed to get past the Floridian. Meanwhile, Casper de Court, we just saw his pass after that start that we mentioned, climbing his way through the field up to 4th. And Benjamin Zoko has been up and down the order, dealing with Mick Claridge, who has had an off and is now retired. And now, most recently with de Court, Olstead as well has been up and down, gaining and losing positions, having slipped down to 6th after a missed shift, Sean.
Yes, sir. And Michael Langford currently sits there in 7th. Not a bad drive for the Australian so far, but he'll still have a little bit of a chance here. Brett Reale sitting there in 8th. Brett actually up a spot, now in 8th, the Pennsylvania driver. Then we'll go back to 9th, where you'll find Hideki Koivitso. Kind of a quiet race from Hideki right now. Joe, a bit of a surprise. Actually not able to do much here so far. They're in 9th. And then Jorge Exposito rounding out the top 10 right now. The Iberian finds himself 30 seconds behind our leaguer, Igor Stadny.
Jorge, of course, had that off on the first lap coming through the Maggots-Beckett sequence. Telmo Almiral behind him 11th. He has been trying to have a steady race, but is kind of in no man's land with nobody around. Same thing with Don Good, who we saw lose the position earlier on. Followed by Jerry Lee Sweetland, a newcomer to this series as far as I'm aware. Haven't seen his name, at least on broadcast before. He is from Michigan, so a little bit nicer time for him out there. Dmitro Goncharov sitting in 14th, followed by Ian Bassey in 15th. And then, of course, our latest retirement, Mick Claridge, is not on track. Even Jojo also has retired, and Anthony Gardner, I believe, did not start. And speaking of Mick, he has stepped out of the car. He's come up to talk to us in the booth for, unfortunately, a bit of an early interview. Mick, sad to see you retire. I think we suspect, was that your shoulder bothering you after too quick of a correction?
Hi, Joe. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, just like I said before, I can't hold those slides when they happen like that, and yeah, it's just too painful to carry on after that.
Up until that point, we saw you battling there for that 3rd position with a number of cars, but you were kind of slipping backwards. What is the weight penalty doing to the car out here today?
It's not hurting anything in the corners. I mean, you can probably tell I was catching them through most of the corners, but along that hanger straight, you just got no chance. I mean, me and Michelle running full tanks here today, so it's really hurting on the straights. And I've just been watching. I'm still looking at the race now. I've just been watching the lap times. It looks like Michelle and all the 4 guys behind are sort of running the same lap time. So if Michelle was behind in this gap, in this group, he'd be falling back behind as well because of just lack of straight speed.
Which I'm sure is extremely frustrating, especially with a track where it's so hard to pass, and anybody getting any sort of opportunity are desperate. Well, Mick, we hope to see you next week, or at least I expect we'll see you next week, but by the time your shoulder recovers.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. It's sort of getting better now, but if I'd have carried on, it would have just been hurting for a good couple of hours from now. So yeah, I'll always be there, mate.
Well, good stuff. Best of to you, and we'll see you at the Glen.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Mick.
That was Mick Claridge, retired here today early at Silverstone, round 5, and the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge. Again, if you're just joining us, definitely go down. Ooh, it's a big lockup we see there from de Court heading into Bridge. But if you're just joining us, definitely go look in the YouTube description. And if you can spare a little bit of money, feel free to donate to the ALS Foundation, where we've been raising money for that charity all season long. De Court still working on Billy Bob Wright. He's rocked up to the back of him and is trying to get himself onto the podium. Behind them, that battle split it apart a little bit. Zoko falling into the clutches of Olstad.
I was just about to say something. Here comes Olstad right now on Zoko. Zoko really having trouble hanging on to that Lotus right now. Things getting a little sketchy out there for Benjamin Zoko.
Able to get himself the grip coming off of Cops and keep him out of trouble. Now as they're working to Maggots-Beckett's, they all split apart just a little bit, getting evenly spaced. A good run by de Court coming off of Chapel is going to allow him to hold on to the back of Billy Bob Wright, but I wonder if de Court has a little bit of that weight penalty, Sean, because he dropped back as they headed up to Stowe here.
Yeah, he did, and boy, DeCourt, it's been a strange race for him, really, Joe, right from the start. He seems to be able to make it up and get there and not able to do anything with Billy Bob Wright. But as we've seen Billy Bob throughout this race, he's had his trouble. It might just be a wait and see thing here with Casper, but we can't wait too much longer. We're only going to have 4 laps to go when they get across the start-finish line.
If he can hold on to this, drive of the race for me goes to Billy Bob for withstanding this pressure. He has just been at the front of this train, coolly and calmly rifling off laps. We say that, though he's had a number of lockups, but he's managed the tires well and is still in third. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, Sean.
Yeah, and I think that's what's killing Zoko back here, is that he's maybe not managed his tires quite as well, and that's why he's fallen off the pace to DeCourt and Billy Bob right now.
Boy, Jack Olstead, that's the biggest lockup we've seen all day, as a huge cloud of smoke trailed him down into Copse. Came in a little too hot. Wow, a bit of a look from Casper DeCourt heading into the Maggots-Beckett sequence on Billy Bob Wright, but I don't know what he expected to do with that. Oh, look at him close up here. Oh, he's going to get a draft down the Hanger Straight. This is the closest he's been as we ride on board. Coming down to Stowe. He's going to have to go around the outside as Billy Bob Wright defends. Can he get the over-under maybe? Another puff of smoke from Billy Bob Wright, closing right on in on that gearbox as Casper DeCourt cannot do anything with it.
Hey, not going to get him now.
4 laps to go, Sean. He is feeling it. Casper DeCourt, the Dutchman, knowing he's losing chances, running out of opportunities.
Oh, and now Zoko and Olstad have kind of come up a little bit here. They've reeled in Casper. This is going to get very, very interesting.
Those two fight side by side. Yeah, you're right. It's going to allow these two to get into the mix. We could see a 4-car fight for this 3rd place on the final lap. Around Luffield they go. Look at how close they've all gotten now. Each within about 4/10 of the other. Down into Copse once more. This is where we saw Olstead lock him up down into there. He heads in with a huge head of steam once again, but this time keeps the tires rolling.
I may have to play these numbers today. 7, 3, 4, and 6, Joe. Think about that.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Billy Bob Wright actually qualified in 6th. He's rated number 7, of course, but qualified 6th, and he is in 3rd. This has been a fantastic run by Wright. Oh, look
boy.
From Zoko on Casper DeCourt, trying to demote him down into Stowe. DeCourt gives him the room, but he's trying to use that momentum around the outside of the corner. Can't get the gas down with the extra rate, and Zoko has to lift with a big defense on the inside from Casper.
Wow. Oh, and I thought I was doing well to get around here, just to get around here, and these guys are racing, actually racing. It's easy to get around this track by yourself, but man.
Poking and prodding, having to go offline to try and make things work, and they're doing a fantastic job of it. We understand this isn't the only battle brewing as Hideki Koivisto has found pace. He is running down Brett Rial.
Yeah, he is, just a bit. He was about 2/10 faster on the last lap. Now it's just going to be a matter of getting there and being able to get around. It'll be tough with 2 laps to go.
Meanwhile, that battle for 5th as Olstead was really riding the gearbox of Zoko around Luffield. Couldn't do anything out of the corner, but a big sideways slide from Jack Olstead through Copse is going to cost him the time. Olstead probably looking the most unsteady of all of these drivers we've seen. Onto the Hanger Straight once again. And now they have really split apart. Billy Bob Wright has got himself nearly a second over DeCourt. This time by, we're going to get the white flag. Igor Stadnik, a whole 14 seconds ahead of this battle. Under no threat from second place. Dudignon dropped back 10 seconds.
I think Reale is going to be able to hold off Coibito back here. It was a good battle, but Reale now able to pull away, Joe.
Saw that gap shrinking and managed to put the afterburners on. So Brett, the Pennsylvania driver, is managed to manage the gap. As Stadnik comes off of Luffield through Woodcote. White flag is out. Final lap for our pole sitter. He's been leading every lap of the race. He's only got to do one more. The real battle that we need to keep an eye on is this fight for third position. It's spread apart as Billy Bob Wright continues to hold about 7/10 over Casper de Court.
Billy Bob got to be very careful here, though. He's a little sloppy there coming out of Woodcote, and you just got to get around this last lap here. Oh boy, Casper de Court just sliding it all over the place, doing anything he can to try and catch him right here, Joe.
Pushing hard to get the run. This is where he needs it. It's his last good chance for a pass. Casper de Court, but I don't think he is close enough at all, as all four of these drivers have split apart, and I think this is going to be the order they finish unless a big mistake happens from any one of them. Out of Stowe they come. Billy Bob Wright looking like he could claim this podium. He's got half a lap. Trying to get the run on him now. Casper de Court closes in through Club. Looking confident, but can he do anything with it? We might have to step away in a second as this battle works its way into Bridge, because Igor Stadnik coming around Luffield. He's just put a lap on Ian Bassi, was unfazed as the Central Eastern Europe driver comes to the line. He is going to win today from pole to flag here at Silverstone. Dudignon does the same in second position, gaining points over his main championship rival, but Billy Bob Wright, the story of the race, coming to the line, fending them off for all the laps, and Wright takes the third spot on the podium.
Yeah, and Casper de Court's going to settle for fourth, but what a drive by de Court after recovering from that trouble early, Joe. And it's going to be Zoko, Ulstad, Michael Langford just comes across. Looks like Reale is going to get Coivito.
Disappointment for Langford after starting fourth, coming home seventh. Esposito going to be our next one across the line, rounding out our top 10. Only one driver was lapped that was still out on track. That was Ian Bassi. As Esposito comes across the line. There we see Talmoral just outside of that top 10. It was our top 6 that got points. Last one was going to be Jack Ulstad. I'm sure he'll be happy with at least managing that despite not getting to overtake anybody into that group. And this is a battle for position, actually. Don Good and Jerry Lee coming around Luffield, unless Don has an absolute atrocious acceleration out of this bend, which he does not. He is going to be able to hold on to 12th.
Yeah, it's a shame. Jerry Lee had been working on that for about 3 laps, Joe, and not able to get him there.
Dimitro, being the last car in the lead lap, is going to round out our 14 drivers here still out on track. So let's go to break. We'll be back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. And on screen, stick around because we've got all the upcoming races here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Welcome back to Silverstone. We just watched round 5 in the Racing for It World Cup Challenge. And a newcomer that has proven himself very fast has won today from lights to flag. Igor Stadnik comes home with the win. Michel Dudignon is only in second. However, he finishes ahead of his main championship rival, meaning Michel is going to be your new championship leader. Billy Bob Wright fended off 4 whole cars to manage to get himself into third after starting it from 6. Casper de Court, a horrible start, put himself down into 4th, but a recovery at least got him up that far. Benjamin Zoko, up and down the order, started in 8th, but comes home in 5th. He's got to be happy with that top 5. Rounding out the points is going to be Jack Olstead in 6th. Gains himself 1 position off the line. Michael Langford had to hold up for Casper de Court because he was behind him when he got checked up. That slots him down into 7th at the end of the day. Brett Rial comes home in 8th, and then Hideki Koivisto comes home in 9th. Rounding out the top 10, going to be Jorge Esposito, Sean.
Okay, and then down to 11th, it's going to be Telmo Amaral. We'll take 11th today. Don Good. Nice little battle there with Jerry Lee Sweetland to end the race, 12th and 13th respectively for those two. Dmitro Gonkarov will finish 14th today, and then Ian Bossi right behind him in 15th. And then, of course, we got to talk to Mick Claridge. Unfortunate day for him. He'll settle for 16th after such a great run there up front for about 8 laps of this race. Ian Jojo will finish 17th, and Anthony Gardner never took the grid. So 17, Lotus 49 started this race, but there could only be one winner. It was Igor Stadnik. I don't think he's shown up for an interview, but Joe, maybe Billy Bob Wright, maybe he has a little something to say about his run rounding out this podium today.
Absolutely. We've got our 3rd place finisher in with us here to tell us what it was like trying to hold off that many cars. First off, Billy Bob, congratulations on the podium. Second off, tell us about the lockups that you were experiencing. We kept seeing plenty of smoke coming out of those tires into the corners.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me, Joe? I'm not sure I've got the right button here.
We've got you.
Okay, great. The lockups were just because I was running too much front bias. I was having trouble getting the car turning in, and I tried a few things in the setup and just never could get the car to turn in right. So I basically was trail braking it in there, keeping the nose down. And but hey, I've got to tell you, this was the most frantic morning I've ever experienced. I just bought an Oculus Rift, and I was trying to set it up last night, and I knocked out my HDMI port. So I've been running triple screens for about 4 years. I get up this morning, I can't make the Oculus run. I try to go back to my triple screen. I've lost one of my screens. So I have to go to a single screen, which I haven't done in 4 years. Then when I load my program, I've got that Logitech GT profiler issue. So I have to go and eliminate everything a couple of times, reload all that software. I mean, I had like 20 minutes before the race when I finally got everything running again on a single screen. I've always wondered if the triple screen was an advantage for me, and I think I just proved to myself that, you know, if you're super intense, it really doesn't make that much difference as far as the race itself. But it was, well, what a crazy morning. And to come out with 3rd, I mean, I was hoping for points. So to get 3rd, I'm really pumped.
Well, that is a run for the ages, and that makes it all the more impressive that you were able to adjust that quickly to that single screen. We'll look forward to see what you could do with the Oculus as well. This is certainly going to help you in the points as right now, before the race, you were tied for 5th with Mick. It's going to put you ahead of him. What's your goal in this championship? Are you looking for a top 5 at the end of the day, maybe finishing even within the top 3 in the points?
Well, you know, when the series started, I was looking top 5. I was hoping for a top 5. And then obviously I had a couple of good results in the first few races, and I started thinking, well, man, maybe I can finish top 3, maybe top 2 if I'm really lucky. So it's going to take stuff like, I don't know if it's Igor or Igor coming into the series to kind of disrupt everything for me to have a chance to do any better than I'm doing. But, you know, when you have situations where Mick making an uncharacteristic mistake, even with 2 hands, and then Igor coming in and taking away some points from the other guys, I'm starting to feel pretty good. I might actually get a top 3 out of this thing.
Well, we wish you the best on that. We look forward to seeing you at the Glen next week.
Thanks, guys. One of my favorite tracks. Can't wait. See you there.
One of our favorites, too. That was Billy Bob Wright, third place finisher today, who made an impressive drive. Man, I need to make a note of that one because I can't believe he did all that on a single screen after not being used to it in 4 years. Meanwhile, Sean is caught up with Benjamin Zoko, who rounded out the top 5 today, but still had a good run coming up from 8th.
Yeah, Ben, what a day, man. What a fight you had going there with Olstad and DeCourt and Billy Bob. Talk about your run here today. Congratulations on a 5th place finish.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I had a lot of fun in the race tonight, and I didn't qualify all that well, but I looked at the times and they were all really close, so I knew that there was a chance for a good race. There was something happened in the start. There was a couple of cars slowed up, managed to survive that, and then I found myself being able to put pressure on Mick, and I caught myself saying something to myself, which I thought I'd never say, which is, shit, I think Mick's holding me up here. I've always dreamed of saying that, and it's happened, and we had a good little battle, and then I think I got past him, and I was putting pressure on Billy Bob there, and he seemed to be struggling a bit too, and I was just trying to pick my time. I was thinking if I could get a good run down Hanger Straight, I could take him into Stowe. I was able to brake later than him, and I was sort of practicing that. But then Casper came out of nowhere, and he caught up to me. And the one mistake that I made the whole race was I got a bit loose in the last corner and couldn't get the power down, and I sort of like missed a gear. Like I tried to upshift from 2nd to 3rd, and it just kind of sat there on the limiter for a bit. So he got past me, and I thought, oh, that's okay. I'm sure that him and Billy Bob will start battling, and they'll slow each other down. And maybe if they come together, then I can make a move there. But that never happened, and it was just going flat out for the rest of the race as fast as I could. There was a few moments there going into, I think, the club section where I thought I was going to lose the rear end and throw it away. So I'm pretty proud of my driving today. I was faster than I was in qualifying, and I'd held off Jack, and I managed to put pressure on Billy Bob. I wasn't even really sure where I finished. I was just having so much fun, just having a really close battle with the guys. It was a great race.
So it's just after midnight there in Australia, and I've got to ask, do you have a couple more races in you tonight?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty tired after a week of work, and I worked today as well, so I'm buggered.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll see you next week. Thanks for putting on a good show for us tonight.
You sure will. Thanks, guys. Thanks, GSRC.
All right, and our thanks to Ben Zoko for coming on. I apologize there for a little bit of the we are a PG show there, so he dropped an S-bomb on us. We're sorry about that. But anyway, Joe, what a great race today here at Silverstone. That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun putting the work in this car, getting ready for it. Just a really fun track, this configuration. I love all 5 of the configurations of Silverstone, and but this one has its own set of unique challenges for sure.
Indeed, and it put on a great show, that fantastic battle for the final podium spot between 5 different drivers, although unfortunately went down to 4 by the end of the race. Well, with that, we are going to close up today, and of course we want to thank everybody for helping donate to the ALS Foundation. And once again, a reminder that the link for the donating is down in the YouTube description, and always want to encourage you to do what you can for that foundation throughout this season. Thanks to Jack Olstead and Benjamin Zoko for helping organize this series and these broadcasts here for this racing in the Lotus 49. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. The next race, we keep mentioning it, Watkins Glen, one of the most popular races in this car. It is a thrill to see these guys battle up there. It's almost a mix of Talladega, and I don't know how else you would describe it, the way they fight back and forth. It is just something to behold. That'll be Saturday, July 22nd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.